But I would beg to differ and suggest that there are new and emerging Muslim media, mass media organizations, but what the problem seems to be is that the organizations that are, let's say, use that term Western, that they seem to be resourced and funded, but I don't think Muslims have caught up to speed about the importance of investing into the media. So that's the opportunity seems to be there, even if it was to invest in social media, but the actual, for want of a better term, the economic investment isn't made. What's your thoughts on that?
Okay, I'd like to go to Kevin Barrett on that. But Kevin Barrett, I'd like to ask you, Press TV itself, when it first started out, Voice of the Voiceless, and we know how Press TV was suppressed because it was telling the truth. We can go into history of how that happened. So what is the solution here? When the voice of the voiceless, in case of Press TV or other media organizations, come to light, in this case we're talking about Islam and the right message, do you think that if it's strong enough that it's going to be suppressed by the larger media conglomerates?
Well, that's right. There's always a fine balancing line between telling the truth flat out, which is what I try to do, and pretty much what Press TV does as well, and then trying to tailor the message to make it acceptable enough so you don't get banned from all the satellites, which is the case with RT, another relatively truthful outlet. I think that Muslims do need to get more involved in creating good, positive media. There's a huge opportunity here. The Western corporate-dominated media, which has a heavy Zionist presence, is dedicated purely to the bottom line and making a profit, and also to a very slight extent to pursuing their own imperial and Zionist interests as well. But there are a lot of ordinary people in the world who don't identify with the sex, the violence, the wild, extreme kinds of images that are getting worse and worse. I've seen them getting worse for the past 40, 50 years of my lifetime. And there are some people like Merlin Miller here in the United States who's worked with Iran to some extent. We're trying to create more wholesome media. In his case, he's making Hollywood-style movies, but without the sex, violence, and degrading themes. And I think that Muslims should work much, much harder at this. You know, trying to preserve a traditional culture that puts a heavy emphasis on values and morals and reasonable, balanced behavior and outlooks, and spirituality as well. And there's so little of this in the media today. So I hope that given the decentralization of media that has followed the rise of the internet and the satellite chains and so on, we will see Muslims taking a more active role in trying to convey the message of real Islam, as the Supreme Leader's letter did.